Welcome back to the 2023 Gulf South Conference Football Media Day, live from the Hyatt Regency right here in Hoover, Alabama, right outside the Magic City of Birmingham, Alabama. For 9 years, Matt Wilson has been at the helm of the Gulf South Conference. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, glad to be here.
All right, first of all, let's talk about Flow Sports.
Yes.
They've been a huge partner for the past few years, but now you've extended it and you have a new partnership.
Yeah, great vision by our membership. And to be able to extend with a new partner with Flow Sports. We've had a terrific partnership with them focused on football content. That's going to continue, but it's going to grow to include basketball and volleyball. For me, it's proof of concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it had not worked so well in football and Flow had not proven to be such great partners, there's no way we expand it to impact other student athletes, other programs. But it worked great. It's a huge win for them. It's a huge win for us. I'm excited about where it's going to go. They've brought content team down to help provide some additional marketing and promotional opportunities for us, and I think that just shows that Flow Sports has skin in the game here. The media rights agreement is good for our league, helps us provide better content, and we're glad to be a leader in that space, and we're glad to have found a partner that wants to partner with us. That's so important in our world. We want to find people that want to work with us and are excited to work with us. Flow Sports does all that.
How special is that within the Division II space to have a partner that's willing not only to carry football, but they're also carrying other sports?
Well, we were an early adopter. We were the first conference to bring our football games to Flow Sports exclusively. Since then, a couple other conferences have come on. So, again, it shows that there's people that there's a market for these games within media organizations, and that your fans can appreciate that content coming in. We're going to make a strong push this year to increase our production standards. Our schools have made the commitment, resource-wise, human resource, and fiscally, and I think you're going to see an improvement on that. Flow Sports has come in and is going to make it a exciting and a better value proposition, one from some new promotional opportunities we'll have, but also the additional content for basketball and volleyball. So it's just a huge win for the division, and I like the way that it separates us from other conferences that are basically running their own video stream efforts, whether it's behind a paywall or in front of. They're the ones managing this. Now, we found a third-party partner that's going to help elevate our brand, and we're excited that we're doing that.
New legislation, you're trying to champion, trying to get more teams into the playoffs, trying to get some things really straightened out, because D2 has been all over the place when it comes to scheduling, the way that they pick teams for the playoffs. Last year, you had 2 teams in. You had 3 teams that were very worthy of getting in. How has that been, as they say, being the lobbyer to get things done?
Well, we're, as a group of commissioners that sponsor football, there's 5 of us that have put forward legislation to try to help with Division II football and overall. There's a lot of issues we need to address. For the Gulf South, some of the major ones are non-conference game inventory. We're one of the smaller football conferences in Division II from total number of members, so non-conference game inventory is huge for us. The other is access to the postseason, because quite frankly, there's not a team that's going to line up in the GSC this year that doesn't think they can make a run if they were able to make it to regionals. That's just the facts of it, and that's why we enjoy being where we're at, positioned as the strongest football conference in Division II. We're going to have introduced legislation to add a week 0 to Division II games as early as next year. So that would take place, typically be the last Saturday of August, depending on how the calendar falls. But this will give us an increased opportunity to create new events, new non-conference chances for our schools. So we think that's really important. Right now, Division II can play a maximum of 11 regular season games. We're only doing that in 11 weeks. I don't think that's wise for the student athletes, for the grind, for anything. They need a break. They need an opportunity to refresh, reset, get healthy. And this week 0 legislation should be able to do that. On the back side of the schedule, there's a lot of conversation about automatic qualifier for Division II. I think the Gulf South could get behind that. It's not necessarily our preference. We think the earned access really rewards teams that perform over the course of the season, and that's who should be in such a small bracket. Only 28 teams go to the Division II playoffs. If you had AQ, 16 of those 28 slots would be filled before the season starts.
Right.
Only 12 at-larges. I don't think that rewards those high-achieving teams, which many are in the Gulf South. There's other conferences that have similar thoughts. So we have to figure that out. We either need to support AQ and expand the bracket to provide more opportunities, or continue to reward teams through some sort of earned access model. Football is such a unique sport. Every sport's important. We sponsor 19 sports in the Gulf South, but football's uniqueness in the amount of percentage of overall athletic budget, the attention that it can bring, the additional philanthropy opportunities that are traditionally associated with football for a campus makes football a little bit unique. And then you also have a smaller size bracket. We need to be thinking strategically about what's best for Division II football so that, one, we can recruit new members into Division II, which is going to be important for the long-term health, but also make sure we can make a case for those institutions that feel like they should be at the bottom part of Division I to say, no, you're better competing for championships in Division II than struggling to make the FCS playoffs or being in a poorly attended, expensive to go to bowl game at the very bottom of FBS. So some of those things are what we're hoping we can make a case for.
When you look at that legislation, how optimistic are you that some of those things can get passed as early as next year?
Super optimistic on week 0. We actually closed out some of our football coaches meetings saying, hey, if you've got a pencil and you can find a partner, go ahead and pencil in some of those non-conference games for that week. Feel very optimistic about that one. The backside, since the NCAA pays for the championship opportunities within Division II, travel, per diem, officials, things like that, that one's going to take a little bit more work because we have to be able to carve out the funds for 4 more football games. And then we need to make sure that on our gender equity side, that percentage increase can also be reflected in our women's championships.
Right. When you look at the transfer portal, NIL, a lot of people didn't realize it, but the transfer portal came into the Gulf South Conference. They plucked a young man. He's going on to Florida State. It seems as though that's a success story.
Yeah, so I think he's a success story, right? He accomplished it almost everything he could at Shorter academically and athletically. So he has reached the end of what he could do at Shorter. Mostly the academic, I think, would played a huge part in it as he's going to pursuing some engineering education. So enter the transfer portal, go see what's out there, and now he's going to be lining up for Florida State. So we're rooting for him. Hope he has great success there. On the other side of the transfer portal, we've got typically it's low-level FBS and FCS schools that spend a lot of time monitoring our stats and our huddle feeds and our Flow Sports feed, looking for who can play so that they can hopefully fix some problems that they have with roster management at their level. There's a good way to do that and a bad way. I think that we're walk a lot of the fine line with a lot of institutions on what that looks like. So transfer portal has been good for the student athletes as far as access and opportunity. It's not perfect, and it certainly creates a challenge for our coaches in roster management. We would really love to see some revision on how transfer portal works. Windows seem to make a lot of sense so that folks can be well prepared. And then there's just a need for folks to be upfront, honest, more transparent in what they're doing. Let's do this with integrity that's in the best interest of the institutions and the schools.
Wow. NIL, have we seen any NIL movement within Division II? Have we seen some young men or young women that have been able to take advantage, and how has that affected the Gulf South?
They are, and I'm glad that they're able to do that. It ranges everything from the kid that gets a free burrito for posting something on their Instagram story to folks that are legitimately getting thousands of dollars through NIL, through what they've been able to accomplish social media-wise or otherwise. I'm excited that NIL can happen again. I think the transparency helps. There's a big push to have federal legislation to assist with NIL. That's to help with some systematic NCAA problems that go beyond just the NIL. To be determined whether that's successful, whether you can get anything pushed through Congress right now. I think that may be one of the few bipartisan issues out there in the world is that people love college athletics. So I certainly won't have any trouble in the South, I think, getting people to line up behind that. But we'll see where that goes. We're supportive of the NCAA's efforts. If it's good for the top level of Division I, then we want to be supportive of it as long as it doesn't hurt our schools. We believe in a Big Tent philosophy. There's over 1,100 institutions that make up the NCAA. Wow. It's not just the 150 that are playing FBS football. So we want to make sure that we can stay in that Big Tent. We think it's important, and we want to be good partners in that.
You have a new thing coming this year, instant replay. How did that process start, and how happy are you that it has gone through the vetting process, and it's real.
Yeah, we have to give credit to MIAA and Commissioner Mike Racy and their staff over there. They're the ones that piloted it last year. Uh, it was a success for them. They took the risk. They developed policies, and then we were able to see, hey, this is going to be really, really good. They did it all in very short order. We've been able to have a little bit more long run up to it. I'm excited about it. There's a lot of pressure on the institutions because they're the ones that are going to drive this. It's very much like our Flow Sports Productions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many people don't know that our Flow Sports Productions, we're not bringing in third-party production trucks to come in and do a lot of our regular season football games. These are campus-produced events, typically using students who are getting great real-life experience behind cameras or even on microphones in some cases. Very similar to our replay. It'll be run by GAs and assistant coaches and media personnel at our campuses to make sure that our officials have the best chance to make the best call. Our coordinator John Smoot often says nobody wants to get the wrong call. They all want to make the right call.
Correct.
If this helps us get the right call, and if it helps keeps a few kids in the game from a targeting perspective, if it helps one game that may have turned on a single play. Those don't often happen. I think those are blown out of proportion sometimes, but
Right.
there are games that turn on single plays. It'd be silly to say there aren't. But if that game that turns on a single play, we can help fix a problem, give our officials another set of eyes, I think it's a fantastic tool. I know our officials are excited. I know our coaches are excited. I'm glad we're able to deliver that.
How excited are you about this football season, knowing the fact that last year you had a team in the semifinals, you've had a team in the playoffs, you've had teams in the national championship game 4 of the last 5 years? How excited are you about this season, the fact that you have new coaches, but those new coaches come with an already knowledge of the history of the league, history of their schools, and you've got a lot of talent coming back?
Yeah, super excited, but no more than any other year. The GSC's been around since 1970s. We've had 11 semifinal appearances in the last 12 years. The expectation is for the GSC to win the region, go to a semifinal, have a chance to play for a national championship. And it doesn't matter the name or the brand. There's the next team ready to go. We've got folks that are founding members like Delta State, to folks who have new programs like West Florida, and even welcome Shawan for their first season in here. Up and down the list, we've got teams that think they're going to make a huge impact on the run for the national championship. I'm excited to see how they do. It's really important for us to get off to a good start, to get as many teams in the playoffs
Correct.
as we can. Those non-conference games are critical for us. Those Division II non-conference games are our best season, if I recall right. We lost one Division II non-conference game that year, the year we had 4 teams in. That's going to be a key to making it happen. It's hard to find those non-conference games in our region through a variety of reasons, whether it's folks that are having scheduling philosophy to play others, or if there's those that are full up on their schedule due to conference decisions. But we've got to take advantage of those. We have to win them to put as many teams in a position to get an at-large bid as possible. But super excited. I'm confident in our coaches, even more confident in the student athletes they've recruited and what's going to happen.
You lose Shorter, you've gained Shawan, and you have some other teams that's coming on the horizon?
That's right. Erskine's going to join us just for a single year after Shorter departs. They're kind of going to take their place in the schedule. The Conference Carolinas is going to begin sponsoring football in 2025 is their plan. We'll see if they are able to accomplish that. They've got 6 schools aligned, but, there's been a lot of movement up and down the list from the
Correct.
top to the bottom, so a lot going on there. We know that addressing football membership is a key issue for the Gulf South Conference and our football playing member institutions. The great thing is even those institutions that don't sponsor football understand how important it is for us to address this. Working on it almost every day. We feel like there's some opportunities out there for us as early as 25 to see some new folks in the GSC. But a lot of things, a lot of moving parts on that. The one thing that I'll tell you that's both a benefit, a pro and a con when I go talk to schools, is the Gulf South Conference is the best football conference in Division II. That's a pro. The Gulf South Conference is the best football conference in Division II. Sometimes that's a con. So
Right.
they've got to talk themselves in and understand when we join, our resources are going to have to be good, our coaching staff's going to have to be good, our travel budget's going to have to match, we're going to have to be ready to go. So as you see people join in football, you know that they're committed to playing at the highest level when they come to the GSC.
Thank you so very much for joining
Hey,
us.
thanks for helping us out all day. I'm
Oh,
glad
it's
we were
been
able to do
fun.
this our first live one, so
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
great. So I hope it's been good for you, and we appreciate James and all those that have been behind the scenes, and Mike and Jason to make it happen. So thank you very much also.
It's always great to be back with family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.